Ever wonder how a seemingly normal family guy ends up committing one of the most horrific crimes you can imagine? A sun-soaked family vacation with sandcastles splashing around in the water, and all the good vibes you'd expect. However, a seemingly loving father and a professional surf coach, Matthew Taylor Coleman was becoming a victim of a delusional mental world that would make both his family and the whole nation cringe. The happy photograph with a father hugging his two little kids, a 2-year-old Kaleo and a 10-month-old Roxy, has now only evoked thoughts that he took them for a murder instead of a joyride. What this investigation revealed was not just the case of murder, but rather a story of a man trapped in a world of paranoid schizophrenia, involving himself in a barrage of conspiracy theories. In August 09, 2021, people were left shocked when Matthew Taylor Coleman, a man who was as American as the Stars and Stripes, is said to have murdered his own children in Mexico. Undefined, he thought they had serpent DNA and was exterminating them to save the world from worst that could be imagined. This was not just another crime story. It was a tragic tale of someone who had believed in QAnon and had turned into a monster as a result of it. Background on Matthew Taylor Coleman. Matthew Taylor Coleman, a surf instructor during the day and a conspiracy theorist at night. His surf school in Santa Barbara was all about surfing and having a feel of the good vibes, until he got a feel of something different. The internet's dedicated trolls of QAnon regaled him with sweet nothings. Instead, Coleman was stirred and was immediately enlightened. He was the quintessential Californian enjoying life with his wife, Abby, and their 2 children, Kaleo and Roxy. From the outside, they appeared to have it all: sun, sand, surf, and fun family times. However, behind this rosy picture, Coleman began to slip deeper into the QAnon conspiratorial mindset. From that curiosity pointed which growing into some sort of obsession, he becomes unstable and started delivering confession-like monologues about secret conspiracies and some evil forces. Even for such a drastic shift, nobody could predict what would come next. Unforeseen and disastrous events that would occur when Coleman became obsessed with these ideas. The events leading up to the crime. It was also reported that in the days leading up to the murders, Coleman was becoming rather paranoid. The interaction was filled with QAnon-related information, especially as he increasingly voiced worries about his children being poisoned by something evil. He was fully persuaded they had serpent DNA, a mindset derived from the QAnon conspiracy that some people are actually not human but are, in fact, lizards in human suits. Coleman's wife, Abby, noticed her husband's growing paranoia, but had no idea of the danger that was about to unfold. On the morning of August 7, 2021, Coleman made a decision that would forever change the course of their lives. Without warning, he took Kaleo and Roxy, loaded them into the family's Mercedes Sprinter van, and drove off. He didn't tell Abby where they were going. He simply left, claiming that he was taking the kids on a short trip. Abby, confused and worried, tried to contact him, but Matthew ignored her calls and texts. Concerned, Abby contacted the police, though she didn't believe the children were in immediate danger, thinking Matthew would return soon. However, this action was not impulsive, and Coleman had a plan in place. He traveled south over the border of the United States into Mexico to the state of Baja California. When they were on the road, Coleman became even more irrational and a little out of touch with reality. He was no longer just a father and his children traveling for a holiday, but a man with a singular goal to redeem the world or die trying, even if he had to die with the souls of his own children in his hands. The crime. The next day, Matthew still hadn't returned, and he wasn't responding to anyone's attempts to reach him. By the afternoon of August 8th, police asked Abby to check his location using the Find My iPhone feature, which showed that Matthew had crossed into Rosarito, Baja California, Mexico. Authorities were alerted, and on August 9th, as Matthew was returning to the U.S. through the San Isidro border crossing, police stopped him. During the inspection, they discovered Matthew was alone in the van. and the children were missing. Matthew Taylor Coleman was apprehended by Border Protection, who found blood on the van's registration paperwork during a search. This discovery prompted the FBI to contact Mexican authorities about the two missing children. Around 8 a.m. on August 9, 2021, a man living on a ranch south of Tijuana discovered the bodies of two toddlers, Kaleo and Roxy, after his dog led him to the scene. The children had large puncture wounds in their chests. In a remote area near the town of Rosarito, Coleman carried out an act of unspeakable violence. Using a spearfishing gun, a tool that should have been used to explore the ocean's depths, he instead took the lives of his two innocent children. The timeline of events is still unclear, but what is known is that after the murders, Coleman attempted to dispose of the bodies. He left the crime scene and drove away, abandoning his children's lifeless bodies in a ditch. It wasn't until later that he was apprehended, but by then, the damage had already been done. The investigation and arrest. Matthew Taylor Coleman was swiftly arrested on August 10, 2021, at the San Isidro border crossing as he tried to re-enter the U.S. This followed a coordinated investigation by Mexican and U.S. law enforcement after the discovery of his children's bodies. Surveillance footage and witness statements helped authorities track him down. When confronted, Coleman did not resist and appeared almost relieved, as though he was finally facing the consequences of his actions. Coleman was quickly arrested and confessed to the murders. He explained that on August 7, 2021, he took his two children, placed them in his van without car seats, and drove into Mexico. Early the next morning, he stopped near Rancho del Cielo and used a spearfishing gun to kill his children, first Roxy, then Kaleo, who didn't die immediately. After the murders, he moved their bodies into a shallow ditch. Coleman later discarded the bloody spear, clothes, and a baby blanket near a creek in Tijuana. These items were eventually found by the police. The collaboration between U.S. and Mexican authorities was vital in capturing Coleman and ensuring justice. Despite the complexities of the international crime, their joint efforts allowed them to unravel the tragic events leading to the murders. Psychological profile and motive. The case of Matthew Taylor Coleman highlights the dangerous impact of conspiracy theories on mental health. Experts believe Coleman's actions were driven by a combination of mental illness and radicalization by QAnon, an extremist ideology. His gradual descent into madness was fueled by an obsession with QAnon's outlandish beliefs, particularly the idea of serpent DNA, which led him to view his children as dangerous beings. Mental health experts suggest Coleman may have suffered from a delusional disorder, where he fixated on the false belief that his children were not truly human. QAnon played a significant role in his radicalization, preying on his vulnerabilities and leading to catastrophic consequences. Legal proceedings. Matthew Taylor Coleman faces serious charges of foreign murder of U.S. nationals, with the prosecution benefiting from his confession and the nature of the crime. His defense argues that his mental illness, exacerbated by QAnon conspiracy theories, impaired his judgment, aiming for a plea deal. In contrast, the prosecution assert that the crime was premeditated, emphasizing Coleman's detailed planning and efforts to cover up the crime, as well as the added complexity of crossing international borders. As the case progresses, has exhibited severe mental health issues while in federal custody. According to exclusive reports, Coleman has repeatedly tried to harm himself, engaging in self-cutting, attempted suicide, and self-violence. In 2023, Coleman was deemed incompetent to stand trial due to his mental state. Prosecutors have since pushed for involuntary medication to restore his competency. The medication process has begun, and Coleman is under constant supervision. Medical evaluations have revealed that he displays symptoms consistent with schizophrenia and other psychiatric disorders. Sources indicated that Coleman seemed unaware of his children's deaths and continued speaking about them as if they were alive. His inability to understand the charges against him has further complicated the case, with prosecutors arguing that his current mental state prevents him from adequately defending himself. Impact on the community and public reaction. The impact of this crime has been devastating, not just for Coleman's family, but for the entire Santa Barbara community. After the murders, there was an outpouring of grief and disbelief. How could a man who seemed so devoted to his family commit such a heinous act? The shockwaves from this tragedy have been felt far and wide, leaving many struggling to understand what happened. For Coleman's wife, Abby, the loss is unimaginable. In just days, she went from being a wife and mother to a person without a family, left to piece together a shattered life. The Santa Barbara community has also been deeply affected, grappling with how someone they knew and trusted could commit such violence. The public reaction been a mix of outrage and disbelief. People are still grappling with the fact that someone so seemingly normal could go off the deep end. Coleman's links to Canaan have sparked a renewed frenzy about how dangerous these conspiracy theories can be. Everyone's shouting for tighter controls on online content, especially the kind that leads people down radical paths. And it's not just about conspiracy theories. This case has put mental health in the spotlight too. People are asking why no one stepped in sooner, pointing out the signs of Coleman's crumbling mental state before the tragedy. There's a growing call for better mental health support and intervention to prevent future disasters like this. Conclusion. To wrap things up, the Matthew Taylor Coleman case isn't just a story about a horrific crime. It's a lesson in how dangerous unchecked beliefs and mental instability can be. It's a reminder that sometimes what we don't know or what we wrongly believe is just as dangerous as what we do. Coleman's case is a tragedy that underscores the need for better mental health support and a more cautious approach to the dangerous allure of extremist ideologies. Thanks for watching. If you found this video eye-opening, drop a comment below with your thoughts on the case. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into cases that leave us questioning the world around us. Catch you in the next one.